Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Stokes County. Let us stand and pray. Precious Heavenly Father, thank you for this county. Thank you for all the people that's turned out that love this county. Watch over, guide them, and give them a safe trip home, and be with the Will Turner family and give them peace. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
I'm sorry. I'm ready to get this thing going.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, you can see we got a full house and we got some hot subjects on the agenda. Once that sign up to speak, you'll get to speak, but please do not talk while we're conducting the meeting because we can't hear and it's distracting. And I apologize for you. I thought it was you talking last time. So with that said, I need approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll go straight to public comments.
Chris Dearman.
She read what she normally reads before public comments, tells people.
I can, just as a
Yeah, do
refresher.
that. Just we got so many new ones.
Each,
You can stand there. You're fine. She's just going to give you the ground rules.
each speaker shall be allowed 4 minutes for public comments with the option to yield time to another speaker or add an optional minute depending on the number of speakers that have signed up while abiding by the 30-minute time limit. All speakers shall maintain good decorum and show respect and good manners. Vulgar language, profanity, inappropriate gestures, insults, personal attacks, accusations, and inflammatory language is prohibited. The chair of the board shall enforce these rules, and anyone not complying with the rules shall not be allowed to continue. At their discretion, members of the BOCC may address all items from public comments portion of the meeting during their commissioner comment period.
Okay.
Greetings, Commissioners, Mr. Sanborn, Ms. Brown. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My name is Chris Dearman, and I've been a resident of Stokes County for 18 years. I probably don't have to remind you that it's budget time, and I'm here tonight to ask you to approve the operating budget request for the Northwest Regional Library. There are 3 public libraries in Stokes County: Danbury, King, and Walnut Cove. I'm sure you know all about that libraries are important social and cultural hubs for rural counties like Stokes, but tonight I want to remind you of their economic impact. Our public libraries are centers for entrepreneurship and workforce development. Their collaboration with Forsyth Tech's Job Labs provides one-on-one assistance with resume building, job search and application, while helping job seekers file for unemployment. The library's free internet provides access points for job searching and professional networking. Stokes County entrepreneurs can allocate their startup funds more efficiently by using the computers, printers, scanners, and fax machines offered at our public libraries instead of purchasing their own. Our public libraries help Stokes County residents improve their financial literacy, which can lead to increased savings and maximizing their personal net worth. A great example of that is Money Smart Week, which starts tomorrow. Money Smart Week is an ongoing collaboration with the Federal Reserve Bank and the American Library Association. Programming for Money Smart Week provides Stokes County residents with resources for basic budgeting, managing student debt, retirement planning, home purchasing, saving money through couponing, and preventing identity theft. Our public libraries also offer free seeds in their seed libraries, enabling Stokes County residents to save money, get some exercise, grow their own food, and connect with our county's agricultural roots. Stokes County residents are tired of paying for streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. Many are opting to, quote, flip to free. They're stopping their streaming subscriptions and choosing instead to use free library services like Hoopla to stream their own favorite shows. A convenient and unique service, the Bookmobile, is alive and well, providing Stokes County residents with convenient access to books wherever they may live in the county. Every mile the Bookmobile drives is a mile a Stokes County resident doesn't have to, creating a personal savings in gas and vehicle maintenance costs. Public libraries save money for Stokes County residents. This increases their purchasing power for local goods and services. When patrons visit the library, they're more likely to visit nearby businesses, an effect economists call halo spending. Research shows that the halo spending from library visits results in a 23% increase in consumer spending. So you might be wondering if anyone actually visits our libraries, and they absolutely do. In the last year, our 3 libraries have added 1,239 new library cards. In March of 2025, they logged 5,487 library visitors. Shout out to Danbury, who showed an impressive 20% increase over March 2024. Every cardholder, every visit, brings with it the power of halo spending, benefiting area restaurants, businesses, retail, and services. Public libraries are economic engines. They will consistently generate a strong return on your investment. Research shows that for every dollar invested in public libraries, between 2 and 10 are returned. If you're looking for proven, evidence-based strategies for economic development in Stokes County, you can't go wrong with libraries. I urge you to fully fund the Northwest Regional Library's budget request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra Robinson.
Greetings, and thank you for putting me on the list to speak. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I'm here as a representative of the Stokes County Animal Control Advisory Board. I'm the chair of that board. The Stokes County Animal Control Advisory Board, hereafter referred to as the board, was formed by the Stokes County Board of Commissioners in 2008. Over the years, the board worked to improve the lives of animals in Stokes County. This work included raising money to add a carport and outdoor kennels to the Stokes County Animal Shelter. It also included fundraising to build an adoption center to save the lives of as many animals as possible that through no fault of their own find themselves at a county shelter in Stokes County. That fundraising effort was so successful that a board dedicated to the development of Friends of Stokes Shelter, or FOSS, was born out of the board specifically to establish Friends of Stokes Shelter. This adoption center has rescued between 3,000 and 4,000 animals from the Stokes County Animal Shelter in the 5 years they've been operational. Included in improving the lives of animals, especially domesticated animals in Stokes County, was the refinement of the Animal Control Ordinance. Since the board was created, the ordinance was enhanced 7 times. Each time the board worked with the Animal Control Director and the county attorneys before bringing the requested change to the Stokes County Board of Commissioners. In 2023, the Stokes County Board of Commissioners dissolved the board and requested that those interested apply for an appointment to the board. At the time, the temperature in the county around the board and animal control was pretty hot, but I applied anyway. I was appointed to the board at that time and have been the chair since October of 2023. The current director of animal control, Tommy Reeves, was hired in December of 23, and I was on the panel for his interview. Tommy is a non-voting member of the board and has only missed 1 meeting since October of 23. At board meetings, public comments were allowed to give public attendees a voice to have a productive dialogue, to generate ideas and projects that the board and community could work on to improve the lives of animals in Stokes County. Comments were limited to 3 minutes per commenter, and a max of 5 commenters or 15 minutes of the meetings were allowed for comments. One commenter in particular continued to overstep that boundary, be disruptive, and at times combative, and as chair I should have managed that better. Lesson learned. In the 18 months I have been on the board, I have visited the shelter many times, most of them unannounced, and I've had numerous short and longer conversations with Tommy about animal control in Stokes County. In that spirit, I have to say I was surprised when Tommy presented an animal control ordinance, revised in format and spirit, at the March 24th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. I'm very clear that Tommy does not have a reporting relationship to the board or to me. However, out of professional courtesy and based on the past history between the board and ordinance revisions, I would have thought at the least I and or the board would have been given an opportunity to discuss the revisions that had been ongoing for a few months before they were presented to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. I had a long phone conversation with Tommy regarding this on March 24th, and he did apologize. I also visited him at the shelter later that week for an in-person conversation. The board had a meeting last Monday, April 7th. This meeting had been on the public calendar since December. At this meeting, although the public was welcome to attend, I did not allow comments since we as a board had a lot to discuss on the revisions. This discussion was less efficient than it could have been due to the change in structure and format of the ordinance. Between the current and proposed ordinances, there are about 60 pages to review. While the discussion was lively at times, there are still some unresolved issues. My request to you tonight is to allow the board and animal control to work together on these remaining issues, and that you delay voting on the new ordinance until July of 2025, so any intervening changes would have time to be discussed and reviewed by legal. Thank you. And I do have this is a partial list of changes between the two. I have copies.
Rebecca Sullivan.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you, Mel.
I'm a long-time devotee to this county and a big-time taxpayer. If you have 83 acres, you're in trouble. You're going to make some taxes. So I'm here. I got triggered about the schools, and I realized that some of those elementary schools have gone now. And I did some digging, and my sister sent me this article because she's an educator, and she said overwhelming evidence is that small schools are better. Students do better. Their performance is better. The parents like it better. The community likes it better if there's a small school available to the kids. Another thing is this article covers like real estate. It actually hurts your real estate values if the schools move too far away. And I brought this cover. This is the Angelou Economic Study, and I know that it's getting pretty old, but I read through it. And if you want a copy, I think you'd be more than happy to email it. And in this study, on page 6, I believe, it said that the top priority for Stokes would be ensure that K through 12 education is as strong as possible. So I really regret that we've come to this, that we're busing the kids, and that these small schools that were so precious to our communities have started to close, and who knows what's going to happen after that. So I think we should consider joining forces. I know this is not the only county where this is happening. I think the folks in Raleigh need to rethink it, and they need to start planning for us to have better performance among our students, and that can only come with small schools. And some suggestions that I have are consider having one principal serve more than one school. And I know churches can do that. I also know that churches that lose all their children out of the community, which is what's going to happen, those churches will fail. And I don't want our small remote communities to fail, because when the grid goes down and the riots start, we're going to wish that we had kept those small communities open, producing food, taking care of their own, and doing all those things. So I think we need to get real creative. We need to come up with ways to support our schools. And this weekend in Roanoke, Virginia, they're having a big mountain bike race. And I'm not sure what that's all about, but there's also Merrill Fest that goes on in Wilkes County, and they raise tons of money. And I don't see why we can't do something to help our schools and stop this trend that's going to, I mean, we just can't bust these kids like vegetables down to a processing plant. This is crazy. So anyway, I can't cover all this in 4 minutes, so I did come up with this other idea, and hang on, okay, because this is, you probably never heard this one before, but I think the name of the county sets us back. Stokes County, to me, doesn't sound like a very fun place to visit. If I were a stranger, never heard it before, I would think of industry or, I don't know, hard work, something. And so I was looking on the Stokes County Economic Development site, and on the bottom of the 4th paragraph, which is the last page that I gave you, there's reference to a guy named Donna Paha, and he was the Sora chief that the river was named after. And I think we need to go there, and does that mean I'm finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. You can change the name of a county. And I think it would be really fun to have live in Donna.
Thank you.
Ellen Perrick.
Thank you. I'd like to yield my time to Shannon Schaefer.
Okay. Shannon Shaver.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Shannon Shaver, and I'm here to speak in reference to the proposed animal control ordinances and the Animal Control Advisory Board bylaws presented at the last meeting. You're presented with a complete rewrite of the current ordinance. There was no red line or highlighted copy, so the general public could not compare this to the existing ordinance easily. I do notice and appreciate that on this meeting agenda, the changes that were discussed at the Animal Control Advisory Board meeting on April the 7th are in red on the new version of the proposed ordinance. Those include putting the shade, suitable bedding, and adequate shelter provisions back into the ordinance that should not have been removed in the first place. This was, however, the first time the Animal Control Advisory Board had a chance to weigh in on this proposed ordinance, since we were not included in this rewrite. As a member of the Animal Control Advisory Board, I have personally requested that we discuss and review the existing ordinances to strengthen and clarify them at multiple meetings. I never dreamed anyone would remove so many crucial parts of the existing ordinance. The presentation at your meeting was brief by Director Reeves, who stated the ordinance was pretty much self-explanatory. It was also stated that this was pretty much taken from Surry County. The Mount Airy and the City of Elkin also follow. While much of this ordinance follows the Surry County one, there are some changes made by Director Reeves, such as the Surry County has a 15-foot tether requirement, and the proposed ordinance takes our existing one down from 10 feet to 7 feet. The City of Elkin also has a tethering ban. There's a new addition in Section 3 of the proposed ordinance, which is authority to tranquilize or destroy, that states an ACO may, when attempting to impound an animal that the owner is not known, which cannot otherwise be captured for impoundment, tranquilize said animal. If attempts to tranquilize the animal are unsuccessful and all other reasonable efforts at impoundment have failed, the ACO may destroy the animal. I believe this opens up the county to some liability. I spoke about that at the Animal Control Advisory Board meeting with Director Reeves, and he stated specifics about it would be that it would be at the officer's discretion after other attempts had been made. Also, the new proposed ordinance does not include inspections for breeding kennels. I'm not sure why you take a working document that has been amended several times and pretty much discard it and write a new one. Every time the ordinance has been amended in the past, there was a copy that provided highlighted changes. It was reviewed by legal as well and approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So I'm unsure why all of a sudden the ordinance is not enforceable. Director Reeves stated in the meeting, when asked by Commissioner Barneycastle why this was not discussed with the Animal Control Advisory Board, his statement to Commissioner Barneycastle was that he gave it to the Assistant County Manager, the County Manager, and the County Attorney's Office. While I understand the chain of command completely, I do wonder what experience all of those individuals have in animal welfare. If you remember, and I confirm this in your meeting minutes, there was an ordinance revision request regarding tethering presented February 13th of 2023 for the first time. It was moved to the February 27th meeting of that year for further discussion. From there, it was moved to March 13th, April 10th, April 24th, where it was finally decided that a vote would be taken on May the 8th. However, on April 24th, the board decided to form a committee
to include Assistant County Manager Amber Brown, a commissioner, and some others to be determined. And that is where that ended as far as I'm aware, until this was brought to your last meeting for the revisions that we're looking at now. Many of these changes move us backwards, in my opinion. I do understand the need for some changes as far as streamlining the process of issuing a citation and decreasing the number of times they go out before issuing a citation. I understand some changes need to be made to the dangerous dog portion of the ordinance. What I do not understand and do not agree with is taking away or decreasing basic animal welfare provisions. We have a serious problem in Stokes County with animals not being properly cared for and overpopulation. We need to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Spay and neuter is so important, and until we are more proactive about that, we will continue to see unwanted animals end up at the shelter. I have heard every present and past commissioner state that one of their primary goals is to move Stokes County forward. I believe this is the opposite of moving forward. We have many citizens in Stokes County who are invested in being sure animals are properly cared for, and whether we like it or not, Stokes County is growing, and why not be progressive in the way we treat our animals, rather than changing our ordinances to match ones that have not been updated almost a decade. Our shelter has certainly had its ups and downs over the years. I want to see our shelter improve and not go back in time. I'm sure most in this room remember a time when our shelter was not a place to be proud of. Back in 2015, when our shelter the state came in and charged our shelter with inhumane practices and improper euthanasia. And I'm sure that Commissioner Morris probably remembers that really well because he was the county manager at that time. There was a lot going on. So we do not need to move backwards at the shelter with our ordinances. We need to work to make the shelter a place to be proud of, and these proposed ordinances do the opposite of that. In response to Director Reeves' comments about the Animal Control Advisory Board not working, saying we meet several times a year and nothing gets accomplished. First, we do not meet several times a year. We meet quarterly, as the bylaws state. We met once in 2023 after the new board was formed. We met 4 times in 2024, and we have met twice in 2025 with 2 more meetings scheduled before the end of the year. So that statement was just incorrect. As stated earlier, I personally requested that we review to discuss strengthening ordinances. We offered solutions as a board for some mobile spay and neuter options. Candace Loy with Spay Stokes stated in a meeting that her requests for spay and neuter appointments have become non-existent through the shelter recommendations. She gave the information of a mobile unit that she organized with to come to Stokes recently to the director. At a recent meeting, the director was unable to attend. An officer came in his place that stated he didn't know what Spay Stokes was, which is probably the reason for the decrease if no one knows what it is. We also discussed Humane Solution as an option to offer the citizens of Stokes County for spay and neuter, as they participate with several vets and some low-cost programs. I have requested to know if the shelter is following up on animals adopted from the shelter being spayed and neutered, and was told not really, since they don't really have much time, which I understand. It is very busy at the shelter. We offered to maybe find a volunteer or help do that for those follow-ups, but Director Reeves stated that could not be done by a volunteer. If you've never spent any time at the shelter volunteering and not just walking around to look at it, you really should. It is eye-opening to see what goes on in an average day in the Stokes County shelter. I know when Commissioner Chandler came on this board, it was very important to him that the county was following processes and procedures. I am sure he still does, as well as all the rest of you feel that same way. Commissioner Cox mentioned at the last meeting there needs to be checks and balances. This type of complete overall change of so many things is skipping lots of steps. And that being said, I believe all of you will do the right thing and put this on hold and let the Animal Control Advisory Board at least have more than one meeting to have input on this. Thank you.
Kathleen Edwards.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to say that I believe the reason Mr. Reeves sidestepped the Animal Control Advisory Board is that he knows that the changes he proposes are unacceptable. They're unacceptable to the board that has historically advised his department, and they're unacceptable to the citizens of Stokes County. It is fine to look around at counties doing things a better way and to borrow from their successes. But Mr. Reeves forgot to include Surrey County's tethering ban. Shannon stated Elkin has one. It's actually stated in Elkin's ordinance, but Surrey has a tethering ban. You have to apply for an exemption if you want to tether a dog. And the tether has to be inspected by animal control. And so I just want that to be clear that Surrey does have a tethering ban, but he left that out when he tossed our ordinance out the window. He forgot to include Surrey's tethering ban when he hastily cut and pasted together portions of their ordinance that benefit only him. He isn't offering changes that benefit the animals who are forced to live outdoors. He is proposing changes that will make it easier for people to neglect dogs who are chained and penned. The language he is proposing is insufficient and doesn't address the concerns of your constituents. Your constituents want to keep the provision that a puppy under 6 months of age may not be tied up outside without relief. We want to keep the provision that feces be removed from any dog enclosure on a daily basis. There is nothing unreasonable about that. We don't want dogs living outdoors with nothing but a plastic barrel for shelter. Plastic barrels prevent dogs from laying down naturally. They cause pressure sores. They are hotter than ambient air in summer, and in winter the plastic steals body heat from an already freezing dog. In fall and winter, plastic barrels promote condensation, which runs down the interior walls and pools under bedding, causing mold and rot. We want to keep the language that dogs must not be chained outdoors in tornadoes, hurricanes, driving rain, and extreme temperatures. We have a good ordinance. We want to keep the enclosure size minimums that were enacted into law 4 years ago. Mr. Reeves is fond of saying that a dog on a 7-foot chain has more square footage than a dog in a 10 by 10 cage. He fails to subtract the square footage required by the dog house to which the dog must have access. And he fails to understand that a dog house and a water bucket reduce by a pie-shaped wedge the square footage accessible to the chained dog. The truth is that 7 feet is an inadequate length of tether for any chained dog. Our ordinance provides that dogs over 50 pounds must have at least 200 square feet of enclosure. Dogs who are chained should have at least as much space to move around as dogs maintained in enclosures. It is imperative that we keep the ordinance provision for minimum enclosure sizes, because without this provision, people will, and people have, put dogs in crates outside and force them to remain confined for weeks, which is unacceptable. Sadly, we have to have a law to prevent such abuse. What we want as a community is to promote humane care and treatment of all dogs who are forced to live on chains. Mr. Reeves' proposed language does not promote humane care and treatment. In fact, his proposed language eliminates nearly every animal welfare provision that we as a community have developed together and adopted as law. Chairman Wood, may I finish my remarks?
Well, if we didn't have 800 people wanting to talk, yes, but no.
This is the most important part.
Yeah.
Okay. The Stokes County Animal Control Ordinance is a body of law that we've gradually and steadily improved for the past 50 years. The ordinance in its current form represents a body of effort, a body of law, and a body of thought about the way we as a community want animals in our county to be treated. Instead of pandering to the desires of a very specific small group of hobbyists who are known for their substandard treatment of animals, you should be taking actions that reflect the values of the majority of people who live in Stokes County. And this is 1,000 signatures of people who asked you to get dogs off chains. And Commissioner Morris, your wife Kathleen signed our petition. And you ignored her, you ignored former Mayor of King Jack Warren, and you ignored the veterinarians. Okay, thank you for listening.
Mary Burton? Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. A lot of the points I was going to speak on regarding the animal control ordinance revisions already been touched on, so I'll keep this really brief. I did want to speak briefly on an experience I had with animal control back in January of 24, in which I had contacted animal control and actually spoke directly to Director Reeves regarding an animal that was tethered outdoors in a falling apart doghouse in below freezing weather. Director Reeves, and I quote, had told me over the phone that we do not have an ordinance against tethering in inclement or below freezing weather. We actually do. We've had it on the books since I believe 2019 under Article 5 tethering, Section 26, and it specifically mentions, a prohibition against tethering in below freezing weather. I chalked it up to him having just been appointed to that position just a few months before, not experienced in the position, probably not very familiar with our county's ordinances. And I figured, over time he'd learn them better, be able to enforce them better. I was a little bit shocked when I saw the initial draft of ordinances that he is proposing, or like the extreme revision of them, which basically takes our okay ordinances and strips them down to below bare minimums. What I'm asking you guys is to, as the Animal Control Advisory Board chair has requested, allow them more time to work with the Animal Control Director in revising and rewording these, stripping them down to the initially proposed revision that he had suggested is literally promoting animal cruelty. We as a county do not want to head in that direction. Stokes County is developing, Stokes County is growing. A lot of great things are happening here. A lot of people are wanting to move here because, it's a good community and there's a lot to offer here. We do not want to go back decades in things like animal control ordinances or any of our ordinances and make this place a, even less favorable place to live. You want to progress forward, you don't want to go back in time. And the other thing is, again, I would like for you to encourage the Animal Control Director to, one, become more familiar with the county's ordinances and his job in enforcing those. I understand he has discretion, but to literally tell someone in the public that, we don't have an ordinance against something when we in fact do, it's a little bit appalling. It's not inspiring of confidence. And then also I encourage you to, instead of voting on this today, give Director Reeves and the Animal Control Advisory Board more time to look over these, to revise them, and to create new ordinances that are better for the animals of this county, better for the people of this county. That's really it, because I don't want to be redundant and kind of repeat everything everyone has said. I'm happy that everybody basically touched on the other points I wanted to present, and thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Joanne Sylvia.
Hi, thank you for your time. The proposed changes to the animal control ordinance are not amendments. The changes constitute an extensive revision of the current ordinance. As one of the commissioners accurately stated at the last meeting, the proposal is a lot in a very short time. It would be a mistake to discard the current ordinance, like dissolving the current Animal Control Advisory Board. It would be a drastic move, like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. The established way to propose changes is to strike through or redline proposed deletions, highlight proposed additions on the existing document. This is done for transparency and clarity, which should be goals of every public servant, but which were ignored in this proposal. Director Reeves shared that he took much of the proposed revision from the Surrey County Animal Control and Welfare Ordinance. Surrey County reports weekly numbers of intakes, euthanized, and adopted animals on its Facebook page. If you want to copy something, copy that. And copy their tethering regulations. Or copy Walnut Cove's policy allowing tethering for just 1 hour out of 24. Unfortunately, the revision in question provides nothing like that. In fact, the proposed revision weakens the current protections for dogs. Under the proposed revision, a dog of any size or any age could be tethered outside continuously in freezing or other severe weather. Under the proposed revision, an 8-week-old puppy could be tied up outside in 10-degree weather all night, every night. Under the proposed revision, a dog could live his entire life on a 7-foot chain, shortened from the current 10-foot minimum in the proposal. The proposed revision removes specific protections for dogs or makes them vague and open to anyone's interpretation. We need to keep the specific protections, including details on adequate shelter, dry bedding, shade, and daily removal of feces, as well as specific age and temperature protections for pets living outside. The American Veterinary Medical Association states, like people, cats and dogs are susceptible to frostbite and hypothermia and generally should be kept inside. No pet should be left outside for long periods below freezing weather. That's the American Veterinary Medical Association. If Stokes County allows dogs to be tethered or confined outside in freezing weather, then it is absolutely crucial that protections be as clear as possible. Protections for domestic animals should be made stronger, not weaker. I mentioned Surrey County and Walnut Cove's laws providing more humane care. They are moving forward in animal welfare. I urge the board not to move backwards with the proposal in question. Please take your time in reviewing the proposed changes. Since the proposal was not made following the established procedure, I urge you to require a comparative list of all the changes being proposed and have those changes reviewed by a licensed veterinarian. In view of all that's at stake, a public hearing needs to be considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Annette McCleary.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I can't go into the logistics of all the rules and regulations that I've heard tonight. I can only tell you my personal experience of the neighbors' dogs being tethered, seeing a line dragged down my driveway, which was the pin that was supposed to be holding the chain. Those dogs came down a 1,000-foot gravel driveway to go to my creek to get water. No dog should be tethered. No dog should be left outside without care. No dog should be left outside 24/7. You hear them come and go, driving in and out. The dogs are barking. They want attention. They want care. Nobody cares for them, yet they have multiple dogs. There has to be ordinances to protect the animals, not just ordinances to protect somebody's name and a director. And I'm going to change the rules and make a record for myself. Please, think about the animals first. Would you stay outside 24/7 in your own feces, barefoot, with no bedding, with no shelter? I don't think so. Please think of their care.
Angie Gamble.
I don't have anything written, so this should be really short. I agree with what everyone else is saying. We're going backwards, not forwards. Some of these rules decrease the current tether, 10 to 7. It's like he took each rule from each county and chose the worst alternative. Not the best, the worst. I know he has a hobbyist and has hunting dogs. The dogs shouldn't have to suffer. No animal should have to suffer. Remove the doghouse bedding requirement? Come on, how long does that take? How much money does that take to do? Remove shade requirement? Really? These animals have fur. Sorry, it's hard for me to stay still because I'm not real happy. These animals have fur. They don't need to be in the hot sun. They need shade. To be outside 24/7 in the sun, chained to a tree or whatever you're chained to, 7 feet, it's cruel. It's wrong. Cleaning up the feces. Come on, how long does that take? How much time of your day does that take? We spend more time scrolling our phones. I just think it's ridiculous. It's going backwards. It's to suit Tommy Reeves' interests, not the public's. And this needs to at least be put on hold, at the very least. Since Tommy Reeves has become director, the shelter has gotten worse and worse and worse. It's time to change things and it not be Tommy Reeves' way. Thank you.
Katie Tedder.
Katie Tedder I'm from Quaker Gap, and I am a 3-time dog adopter from our shelter, and they have given me years of unconditional love, support, and protection. But that's not why I'm here to talk to y'all tonight. I wear many hats to help our beautiful county, but tonight I'm here wearing my Habitat for Humanity hat and shirt here this evening. I'm also here with our executive director, Mindy Alexandra, who many of you might have heard she was recently awarded the Business Leader of the Year at the King Chamber annual dinner this year. And as the vice chairperson for Habitat, I'm very proud of her. And under her leadership, we currently have, for the very first time ever, we have 10 building lots now in Stokes County. We have 5 in Walnut Cove and 5 right outside of King. And we've also purchased and sold our first home that is going to be part of our new repair program. But we couldn't do what we do without the help of our community. And I'm here to tell y'all about our annual Bricks and Sticks golf tournament, and it will be held at Hemlock Golf Course in Walnut Cove on May 16th with a Captain's Choice tea time at 1 o'clock. We are currently recruiting for teams and sponsorships. We have flyers here this evening if anybody would like to do that. Get one from me. We also invite you to stop by the Restore to pick up an application while you're shopping at the Restore, and that's also open to any of our virtual listeners. We'd love to have y'all come by there. I'd like to thank Chairman Wood for always sponsoring our high school teams that play at the tournament, Commissioner Morris for always playing in the tournament, Commissioner Cox for always being one of our sponsors. We really appreciate all that y'all do. And so we hope to have some continued support from our community to make this another successful event. And I also want to tell you that I look forward to coming back to you to speak in the near future on a project that Chief Barney-Castle's aware of and helping me with. So thank you for your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna Lawrence.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. My name is Donna Lawrence, and I grew up and lived here in Pine Hall, and a long-time resident of Stokes County, but I don't live here anymore. But I'm passionate about Stokes County. I love Stokes County, but I'm not in love with the things that I'm hearing right now when it comes to animal welfare. How many of you are familiar with Susie's Law? Any of you guys? How about out here? All the animal rights people out here. These people, as well as I, we are so passionate and love animals, and we have worked our butts off to get ordinances changed, laws changed. I was one of the founders of Susie's Law. I rallied the whole state of North Carolina to make a change for animals. We changed a Class I misdemeanor to a Class H felony to protect our animals. Which means they should not have any neglect. They should have proper shelter, water, and we did a whole lot to make this happen. And this is a slap in the face to me to go backwards from the county that I am from. It's embarrassing to be really. I mean, we should be moving forward, not backwards. I know Guilford County, Forsyth County, and a lot of these have unchained ordinances to stop tethering. And I'm telling you now, tethering makes animals aggressive. I know, I have experienced it. I was attacked 10 years ago by a dog that was on a chain. The people made it aggressive. It never got off that chain. It lived its whole life in a little area. And I don't blame the dog. I blame the people. They made that dog aggressive, and I was almost killed. It almost cost me my life because I love animals and tried to help it when they moved off and left it. So when you got these ordinances in place like this, you're giving these people permission to neglect these animals. They already neglect them. I know. I have rescued thousands of animals since 2010. I started a Susie's Hope nonprofit rescue. I have even rescued
a lot of animals from your shelter, and I know what goes on at the shelter. I hear it, and I know that I really hate what's going on at the shelter right now. It's sad for these animals, and I've taken pregnant mamas out of your shelter and found them homes. And I personally, as long as a lot of these people out here too, we have seen abuse. I know what it looks like. I've seen dogs with their necks torn all to pieces from a chain. Do you know how that would probably feel? I rescued them starved to death. It cost me $18,000 for a dog that was starved to death, and it still died. But I raised the money to help that dog. That's how passionate I am. And I want to see these animals protected. It's ridiculous to go backwards. You can do better than this. I know Stokes County is a good county, and I respect all of these people, and I love this county. But I do not want to see it move backwards. Susie's Law was put in place for a reason. We need to use it, and we need to go forward. To me, an animal shouldn't even be on a chain. And I have 13 dogs at home. My 13 dogs live inside. I wouldn't even think about putting them on a chain. They sleep with me. They're all over my house, and I clean up feces every day. So if I can clean up after 13 dogs, these people can clean up after one. It's laziness and it's irresponsibility not to take care of your pet. And we, as a public, are not going to stand for this. We want to see changes going in the right direction, not backwards. Thank you.
Django Burgess.
Hello, board. My name is Django Burgess. I live right here on Main Street in Danbury, and I'm almost 20, which makes me a taxpayer and a voter of this county. I am absolutely embarrassed that this is even being proposed. For 17 years, throughout my life, I have assisted in the rescuing of and rehoming of over 4,000 animals. And this has been tireless and payless. It's something that we do out of empathy and out of compassion, something that feels like common sense to the people that are part of this group with the Stokes County Humane Society. It's sickening to think that these proposals are being made, because to me, I think that the laws in this county are already far, far, far too loose to allow people to do what they want with their animals. I believe that owning a dog is absolutely something that you earn, is not a right. It's something that you earn by not being lazy, by caring and having compassion, and these proposals only benefit people that do not have those qualities. I'm trying not to say anything about any specific people and keep it more generally about what the animals will be experiencing, but I don't have anything written down either. There's lots of things on here that diminish the already very, very small rules that we have in place for people keeping animals. I believe that animals should not be tethered outside at all. I believe that if you own an animal, that dog should either live inside with you, you should take it outside, take it on walks and make sure it gets adequate attention, or the animal should live in a fenced-in yard with much more than enough shelter to just turn around in. I've seen in our work rescuing animals in this county so much absolutely terrible abuse, and to truly just tie a dog up outside, especially in weather like we have in North Carolina, very cold winters, very wet winters, and extremely hot summers, dry summers, and humid one week. It could be freezing in the morning and it could be blazing 80 degrees during the day. It is a death sentence to hundreds of animals to put these proposals through. Absolutely, it's a death sentence. Hundreds of animals will die this summer from heat stroke if they do not have these permissions. Because already countless animals die. I hear about all of them, the animals that die every year from just being left out in the weather. And lots of cases of people leaving their dogs outside while they go on vacation or this and that. It not only is a death, if you don't at least see it as an animal dying and care about that, then it reflects extremely poorly on our county to drive through and see animals tied up to trees everywhere you go and have dirt-filled yards. It looks disgusting. And I have been very happy over the past 15 years to slowly see that less and less and less, and see dogs in fenced-in yards and things like that. But it's been a perilous fight, and it has constantly felt like one step forward and two steps back. Every time there's a new director of the animal shelter, something happens and we think it's going to be better, and it just gets worse because of personal interest and because of absolute sheer laziness. And if someone who is lazy shouldn't be in a position to even own an animal, then they definitely shouldn't be in a position to be looking after and caring for the amount of animals that Director Reeves is looking after. So I yield my time. Thank you.
Kimberly Rich.
Hello. I'm not going to re-say everything that everybody else has said because I agree with all of them. But when I first read the proposed changes, it appalled me. To me, it sounded like, I know as a matter of fact that you have trouble hiring the people, the officers to work animal control. You don't pay them enough to keep them. Nobody wants to do that job because they still need to feed their family. But you've got to come up with some solution to help fix that. The rules that we have now always have room for improvement, always. But you've got to combine those things. You've got to get a person in there, the director in there, who cares about the animals, who cares about where they're staying and how they're being cared for or not, to make improvements. But you need to also focus on hiring the officers who can go out and make those calls when people like me call up and say, there's an animal out here that is pitiful looking, hasn't had any food or water, or what the scenario is. So you need to address that as well. This is not, it just sounds like to me that this director is saying, if we get rid of these rules that we have now, I don't have to worry about having people work. I won't have any officers because we won't be taking any calls. So you need to address that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sonia Hart. Tanya, sorry.
I neither one read. I did not write anything because my patriots have already said more than enough, and I know that you know how we feel. I know that you'll make the right decision. We need a director who cares. I'm not saying he doesn't care. I'm saying he does not represent the people of Stokes County's interests. To not even consult with the rest of his constituents that he deals with in the animal advocacy group was appalling. And I'm constantly seeing things, just as you ride around through Stokes County, you can just ride around yourself and find it. It's everywhere. You don't have to look for it. On a personal note, I have a grandson with 2 big dogs. I told him myself I would arrest him myself and bring him to jail if I caught them dogs tied out. And he only puts his dogs out on a leash now for 1 hour a day after he comes home from work. And he walks his dogs. And he cares for those dogs. And now he's got a girlfriend and they still care for those dogs. And they don't make jack crap when it comes to money. But they still take care of their animals because they know who they're dealing with. You don't let people go around and just feed the cat. Oh, well, I gotta go somewhere and I'll feed it tomorrow. That's ridiculous. This county can do better than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie Craig.
She wants to yield her time.
Amy Jenkins.
Thank you for your time. As someone who has witnessed what can happen when a dog is tethered and gets wrapped up in its leash and it's all the way in the sunshine in a North Carolina summer of about 95 degrees, thankfully I pulled over, called 911 because I didn't know what to do, and an officer came, whatever, the dog died. Had it not been tethered, regardless of whatever, it would be alive. It literally laid there and baked in the sun.
I cannot understand how anybody in their right mind could go backwards. I don't know why you would even have a dog if you have to have it outside. In my opinion, whatever. But if they are, why? Why do they have to be chained up? I just need an answer for that. But I'm telling you that whatever proposal is ridiculous. And as someone that has helped a little bit here and there to even just get something like false built, it is disgusting. This shelter is a disgrace. I have lived in Stokes County my whole life and I'm proud of it. But that is one thing I will never be proud of, and I pray and hope that y'all can have a little compassion for animals who cannot do anything for themselves. Nothing. We are the ones that can spay and neuter them. Stokes County is ridiculously overpopulated. Thank you.
Brian Gamble.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to begin with just reminding us what dogs are. Dogs are probably, if anything else, they are uniquely a human creation. We brought dogs into our lives by bringing wolf pups and domesticating the dog. And what did we ask for the dog? We asked for the dog to protect us at night, to alert us when somebody came too close to our camp. We asked the dog to help us hunt, help us travel safely. We asked the dog to help us find our lost ones, search and rescue. We asked our dogs to help protect us, our police, our military. And the dog has come back and surpassed every expectation that we had. They are used for therapy. These animals that have done nothing but give to us when we ask. They say that dog is man's best friend, and that I truly believe. The only thing that I ask is that we reciprocate. That citizens of Stokes County, the board, that we become dog's best friend. Thank you very much for your time.
That concludes our public comment period.
Can I speak since somebody yelled at their time? I didn't get a chance to sign up. It doesn't have to do with animal control.
What's one more?
Can you just state?
I'm Leah Batista. I wanted to speak about the first discussion topic. I'm not necessarily against nuclear power, but with nuclear power comes higher risk to the surrounding population, both in the short term and the long term. And as a county that's pursuing a possible SMR nuclear plant, we need to ensure that our zoning ordinance laws for sites that will be zoned for nuclear power generation are robust and well thought out. Adding the word nuclear to the current M1CZ zoning definition is not in the best interest of the Stokes County residents. There needs to be a completely separate nuclear zoning ordinance that regulates the location and operation of nuclear facilities and radioactive waste disposal sites. County zoning ordinances typically have specific regulations regarding nuclear power plants, often including site selection criteria, buffer zones, and emergency planning requirements. These ordinances aim to balance the potential benefits of nuclear power with safety concerns and environmental protection. Having more specific zoning requirements for nuclear power generation can and it should include the following things. One, infrastructure requirements mandating specific infrastructure for emergency services, including communication networks for emergency broadcasts, sirens, and evacuation routes. Permitting requirements or zoning ordinances typically require permits for construction and operation, but it would be important to include environmental review and safety assessments. Operational regulations covering all aspects like waste storage, air and quality standards, and security protocols. And monitoring and reporting of environmental conditions and regular reporting on plant operations. County zoning ordinances play a crucial role in regulating the development and operation of nuclear power plants, ensuring they are sited and operated in a way that minimizes the risk to the public and the environment. Amending the current M1CZ category to include nuclear does not do enough to protect the local population. Having a more stringent zoning category specific to nuclear power generation adds to the checks and balances put in place to ensure accountability as it pertains to the safety of the residents of Stokes County. Thank you.
Thank you. We good? No, we got to move on. If you didn't sign up, I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if are there more people signed up about the solar farm?
Well, that's going to be
It's on the public hearing.
Okay.
the public
I
hearing
think that's
part.
what they didn't understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can hang in with us for a little while longer.
Sorry.
All right, man. Commissioners, we want short comments. And we'll start with Brad.
Good evening. It's good to see a big crowd. I guess I can touch more on the discussion part about the animal control ordinance. But I think that the one thing we all share that I don't think that anybody disagrees with is that our pets and our dogs and cats and animals, they all need to be treated humanely. And I'll talk more about that. But so it's good to hear this many people come out and talk about the safety and the humanity, for our animals. So I appreciate that. The one other thing that I just want to get ahead of is, and we'll get into it later on a proclamation, but I'm a very strong supporter of public safety, and I just want to personally recognize the National Telecommunicator Public Safety Week. We'll have a proclamation later tonight if we ever get to the action agenda to do that.
We'll get there.
But I do want to personally say, hey, you're a very important part of our infrastructure here when it comes to emergency services. 24/7, you get somebody, they're professionally trained, and sometimes they feel more when a deputy or got a firefighter or a paramedic that themselves is in danger or hurt than we do when we're actually on the scene as law enforcement. So please keep them in your thoughts and your prayers. And with that, I'm done.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see a big crowd here tonight. We really do appreciate you speaking in public comments. That's what we have it for, so we can get input from the citizens, and that's a very important part of our decision process, is to hear what the public has to say. So it's great to see such a big crowd come out and talk to us tonight. I would remind everybody, a separate subject, that the revaluation is coming. If you have a problem with your property values, we have an appeal process up to this board. If it can't be resolved when the tax office, we had our first meeting about a week ago, I think, and nobody was there to appeal their values, but we have 3 more, both in the afternoon and evening schedules. So if you have a problem with your property values that you can't get resolved, be sure and bring it to us. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Lane?
Well, it's great to see everybody tonight. Everybody watching live stream. First thing I'd like to send a special prayer out to the young man's family, that tragic accident over the weekend. One thing I've seen about this is how our community and our county can come together. They started raising money for this young man. When the last time I looked today, it was already over $11,000. So that just shows you how our county and community can come together if they want to. But one other thing I want to touch on, and I had phone calls about this. I don't get paid anything except for here, and I don't know when I get paid. I really don't care. I do this for the love of the county, not the money. And I don't like being accused of getting paid to adopt a policy or approve a policy. But no policy's been adopted here whatsoever. And to tell me that I don't love animals, I got one at my fire station that's been there 4 years. He's not mine. He belongs to the neighbor. But he's mine now because I look after him. I buy Charlie a $350 doghouse, and he lives in the fire station. So I've got a big, strong heart for animals. Trust me. I've got 3 of them at my house, and they live in my house with me, and I love them to death. So I just wanted to clarify that up when I see it on Facebook, social media, and I make no comments to none of that whatsoever. It don't bother me what people say about me. It does not bother me whatsoever. But I try to make the best decision I know how when it comes to people's feelings and animals and stuff like that. And I just want people to understand that. Thank you.
Anya? Yep, it's good to see this crowd here. Always good when the community turns out to let their voices be heard, because that's what this is all about for sure. I want to echo what Wayne was saying about the Will Turner family. I don't know how many of you know, but we had a young student at North Stokes tragically killed in a car crash going to prom Saturday night. That's what we've been referencing, and we just wanted to take time out to remember that family and his friends and that school and all that they're dealing with regarding that, because it's a tragic thing. And they did a GoFundMe for his funeral expenses, which is what Wayne referenced, and it's I think raised over $11,000 to pay for his burial. So that we do have really good communities, and this county comes together when they need to, and that's evident of that. Also echoing what Brad said about our telecommunicators, April the 13th through the 19th is National Telecommunicators Week. We'll talk about that more later in the agenda, but they have a really tough job. They are the first and most critical contact in an emergency, and our telecommunicators do their job with compassion and professionalism, and I'm just proud of their job that they do, and for the ones we have working here in our county. Also, remind everybody that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and there will be a Ring Out Child Abuse event here at down at the hill there, right past the library before you turn into the campus here on Friday, the 25th of April at 10:30, our Ring Out Child Abuse event. So I just want to remind everybody of that. And I'll save my comments regarding animal control and the ordinances for when we discuss it, so in the interest of our time here. But don't have any dogs currently, but I have lots of grand dogs. So and they are treated like they are grandkids. So they laugh at me when I go into the pet store and I'm come out with $80 worth of treats and toys, and they're like, "What kind of dog do you have?" And I'm like, I don't even own a dog. These are for grand dogs. So they are a very important part of our lives. That's for